I think there's been a surprising update when it comes to the internet computer. Did you know that it was announced recently that SEV subnets are now live on the internet computer? Why does this matter despite the internet computer being around $2? Well, I'll explain in today's video, even though nothing I say is financial advice and I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But I first want to preface that this video is more so for the dedicated and more so kind of loyal fans when it comes to the internet computer. I'm not going to be pulling up a price chart, drawing some random triangles. That's not what I do. My mindset is for multiple years. Anyways, I am not a trader. What I do is I look at a project that I'm a fan of and I talk about the updates and what I think the impact could be. And that's pretty much about it. And I'm waiting for years. So that's just my style. And I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But again, did you know that SEV subnets are now live on the internet computer? The reason why I think this could maybe matter for its future is because this is a new type of subnet on, again, the internet computer that uses specialized hardware for much stronger security and confidentiality. And those are two features right there that enterprises often care about. They want something that's secure, and they want things that sometimes could also be confidential if need be, right? So when I take a look at something like this, it is pretty impressive seeing this when it comes to this project. Now, let's take this into consideration. If we take a look at SEV, what is that, right? Allegedly, it's an extension to the AMD V architecture. And yeah, you heard that right. I'm talking about AMD. Literally one of the biggest companies out there in the world. Wow. So if we take a look at this right here, okay, sure, it's around $2 currently when it comes to the internet computer, but we have to consider the implications of something like this. This is pretty impressive in my opinion. Now, it's not going to show an immediate impact, and especially now because we're in a bear market, we're just not going to see much of an impact showcase on the charts at all, if any, despite this. But sometimes I like to put myself in a different frame of mind. Let me show you what I mean by this, right? So for instance, if I take a look at updates, when I take a look at news, when it comes to this project, or just let alone any other project out there, no matter what's going on when it comes to the price charts, no matter what's going on with Bitcoin, or no matter what's going on when it comes to the market sentiment, I just like to put myself in a vacuum. I put myself in this mindset where, okay, if this update, let's say, had happened when the market was doing good, would people care? That's what I ask myself. And if I respond yes, like if let's say I actually think that update or that news or whatever would be a positive thing, if let's say the market conditions were doing good, then I automatically think that it's a good update nonetheless, despite whatever is going on when it comes to the price charts. Because initially, when I first started my journey when it comes to this space, every time the market wasn't doing good, I would see some news or see some updates. It would seem fantastic, but then it's easy to get overtaken by what's going on when it comes to the price chart. So at times I would be like, oh, it's not that good. But then eventually, as time went on, I realized that if the market were to take off, if the market were to recover, this type of stuff is usually what people care about in some cases, like, good news and all this. So then I started to understand that, what, next time I read something, next time I look at an update or whatever when it comes to a project, I like to put myself in a frame of mind where if this sounds good, if let's say this would be a good thing actually if the market was better, then I would think it's actually good no matter what's going on when it comes to the price charts. That way, when I take a look at updates, when I take a look at what's going on with the news, it makes me less biased because now I'm taking a look at it in a vacuum, right? I'm not letting whatever's going on when it comes to the price charts distract or change the way I view that particular update or news. So that's just the way I take a look at it. And I think especially at a time like right now, it's very important for me to think that way. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but the reason why is because I have a long-term mindset basically when it comes to the projects that I'm holding. And if I'm putting myself in that frame of mind, it's going to be very difficult for me to think about anything in the long term if I'm constantly affected by the short-term price movements, because in the short to medium term, things can, be very volatile like that, right? I don't want to let that distract me because, again, my kind of vision is more so for the long term. So when I see this being at around $2 and then people saying, oh, SEV, who cares about what's going on when it comes to their computer, in a sense where SEV subnets are now live on it. And then people like to say no one really cares about it. But again, If I think about it that way, I'm going to be very distracted and I'm not really going to be focused on the actual fundamentals. So I don't want to do that. I want to be more so focused on the fundamentals because usually the fundamentals is what kind of is there for the long term. Short-term price movements, we see it come and go. Like in a sense where we're in a bear market, I believe, but then also at the same time, bear markets typically when it comes to this space, they're usually not permanent. Now, could it be different this time around? Who knows? However, so far, I've just never seen a permanent bear market. I just haven't. And not to mention, when I take a look at, let's say, this cycle, right? People like to say, oh, it's so lackluster and all this. And I get it, it's not reminiscent of 2021 at all. We haven't seen that sort of hypothetical altcoin season. But also, the way I take a look at it is that there's been a shift. Now I think more so people care about projects with actual use cases and more so the fundamentals. And I think that's why we're not seeing so many just random projects like before just randomly go along with the ride like that. And also, there's more projects overall, so the competition is a little bit more tight. But if let's say the market were to hypothetically take off, it's usually the projects that have been improving, have been developing, usually those are the ones that kind of, hypothetically maybe could ride that wave, right? So when I see the internet computer having an update like this, when I see Dfinity being focused on Caffeine AI version 3, being focused on cloud engines, when I see all of that, it's a clear indication to me that they're improving. So they're slowly pulling away from the competition. Even though there's a lot of competition, they're slowly kind of pulling away because they keep constantly improving. And eventually, people do care about that type of stuff if maybe the market were to take off. But that's a big if. We'll wait and see. But also on the flip side as well, if we take a look at usually when Bitcoin reaches an all-time high, typically what I've seen in the past is that things eventually kind of bottom out around a year after, that happens, right? A year usually after a Bitcoin all-time high, the market kind of bottoms out. And then sometimes in the past, we've seen kind of that slow hypothetical recovery following the bottoming out process, I would say, or phase. Now, if we take a look at it, when was the Bitcoin all-time high? Now, if we take a look at it from right now, it was like around 8.5 months ago, basically, give or take. But besides that, if we take a look at what's happened historically, it might be different this time around, but I'm just saying historically, we could very well see, maybe just based off history, the market might hypothetically, who knows, bottom out in around 4 months, maybe, who knows, because that's just from what we've seen in the past, right? We're around 8.5 months from the last Bitcoin all-time high, and usually 12 months or maybe sometimes 13 months after a Bitcoin all-time high, the market kind of bottoms out, and then we see this gradual sort of recovery. Sometimes we do see that. So I guess maybe still around 4 more months of boring sort of, kind of lackluster movements, maybe. But you know what? If we have to wait for another 4 months or another year or whatever, I have zero complaints because my mindset again is for the long term. This is all just background noise to me anyways. As long as I'm seeing something like SEV subnets being now live on the internet computer, that's all I'm happy with as of right now anyways. And the fact that just last year in November, this was around $9 when it comes to the computer. Now we're literally at $2. So we're over 4 times lower than that. If it could just go back there, keep in mind, like $9 is not even considered that good anyways when it comes to the computer. Like that was considered really boring at one point. Of course now, if the internet computer was at $9, it would be considered so fantastic. But back then, it was considered quite bad. But we're around 4 times lower, or over 4 times lower, I should say, than a point in which previously wasn't even considered that good anyways. So I think if anything, it kind of showcases just how much this space has had a decrease. But if anything, I don't really mind a decrease because I'm looking to dollar cost average. I am not telling anyone to do anything. However, that's just my personal mindset. So as of right now, what I'm seeing, again, it's just kind of background noise. As long as I'm still seeing updates when it comes to this, I have nothing to really complain about, but that's pretty much about it. So I want to say thank you so much for watching.